Hello, my name is Faina, and I have dedicated the last 7 years to honing my craft and fine tuning my strategy.
Welcome to Trading in the Zen, where we help traders find their groove. I'm your co-host, Louise Nonweiler, a trading psychologist and multi-award-winning clinical hypnotherapist. Join us weekly as we delve into the trading world, exploring psychology, well-being, health, and mindset. Through expert insight, interviews, and actionable strategies, we help you as traders unlock the mindset needed to navigate markets with confidence and achieve peak performance.
At Trading in the Zen, we believe that there's much more to trading than numbers and probabilities. Like an athlete, a trader should operate in their peak state. Each week, you will have mind-blowing interviews as well as actionable tips and strategies that you can implement in your daily life to become a better trader. Thanks for spending time with us today. Now, let's dive right in. In this episode, we interview Isabella. Isabella is a U.S. Navy veteran and a former law school student. These days, Isabella is a part of a new platform in development called Sigma View. It's an all-in-one trading platform designed to empower traders at all levels, providing cross-broker copy trading, in-depth journaling and stats, and even profitable trade signals. Isabella remains dedicated to helping traders develop their skill and make informed decisions. Hello and welcome to Trading in the Zen. Today we have someone special back on our podcast. Welcome back, Isabella.
Thank you. It's nice being back. How are you?
Good. Welcome, Isabella. Nice to see you again.
How has life been? I know last time we spoke, you were starting a new venture and you were talking about all the coding and all the wonderful aspects and all the things that we'll have. How's that going? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we kind of switched a little bit from where we were going, and we decided to focus on to the launch of this new platform that is mainly for traders. So as you may know in this space, especially in futures, you don't have a lot of software development that you usually used to have on MT4, MT5. So something as simple as copy trading from one broker to another doesn't exist. You can copy trade within your own broker, but not from one to the other. There's a lot of other solutions that require a VPS and all of this, complicated stuff. So we essentially created an ecosystem that allows you to copy trade prop firms, brokers, all within different integrations. So it's coming up soon, probably by the time that this airs, we're going to have DX Trades and Trade Locker and Ninja Trader. So you're able to copy trade throughout all of those platforms just in one seamless panel. That you just go in on the website and you just log into your account from there. And you can manage all your risk, your take profit, stop loss. So you have that at your fingertips. And not only that, we also going to have analytics like a trading journal that you can compare your trading accounts. And then also there's another feature that just like whenever you have indicators on your chart on TradingView, whatever indicator you have on TradingView, now you're able to automate it and take trades for you inside of SigmaView. So that's the platform's name. So whatever indicator you have that maybe used to be just like buy sell signals, because you can't execute on TradingView. Now you can send alerts and have our system execute the trades for you. So it's essentially just like all the scripts from TradingView, we can incorporate those in our system. So it's very seamless. Everything is integrated and something that either if you trade manually or if you're looking for a software to trade for you, you're going to be able to have that.
Wow. This sounds like it's potentially a game changer in the trading world. Is there anybody else doing this in the trading space?
Not that we know of. There might be some variations, and some of them might be just offering one algo strategy. We're offering probably, as of right now, over 10 strategies. And anybody that has a strategy that wants it to be implemented into a trading algorithm, we can also code it and make it available to the public. So you can have your own page and have other people copy your strategy as well. So there's a lot of different variations that you can go with. And like I said, even for manual traders, if you know that your stop loss is pretty much, you always want to set for 25 points and your take profit is usually a 1 to 2, you can just already have it set up that once you enter the trade, it already has all that ratio and calculations done for you. So you can just focus on getting on the trade.
That's wonderful. How is it different from Replicanto? Because everyone is using Replicanto at this time. I'm personally using it as well, and I'm able to tie an Apex and my funded futures together, but because it's all based on NinjaTrader, right? So everything is coming through NinjaTrader. So your solution seems to be more well-rounded, where it doesn't have to be a NinjaTrader type of thing, and because it's Tradeovate to NinjaTrader or Rhythmic to NinjaTrader. So how is your system a bit different? Because I know a lot of people on my end who are using the system, so perhaps this would be a better solution for them.
So I was also using Replicanto. So as you know, if you have a Mac, for instance, you have to have a VPS. That's number one. You have to have NinjaTrader downloaded. You have to have, if you're trading from TradingView, you have to have TradingView open. If you have a journal like TradeZella, you have to have that connected and open as well. So you have all these different tabs, right? We are like, you log into just our system, and maybe if you are executing on TradingView, but you can execute on TradingView and have just a web browser open. And then the main difference that I want to say is that we're going to add DXTrade and TradeLocker. So now you can integrate not just futures, but Forex. So, and even if, let's just say, all you have to do is change the ticker. So you can have it enter trades, on NASDAQ or NQ, on maybe a prop firm that is using TradeLocker and a futures prop firm at the same time.
That's interesting. So as another question is, for example, I had a bot of my strategy, algo of my strategy, a bot program from MT4, and you know how that is now all gone to crap. And initially I was like, no, let's do it for Ninja, but nobody listened to me. So say I have that available, how do I bring that to you so then it could be implemented into your system?
So we would have to have a meeting with the developers to take a look at the code. But then we would take a look at the code and they would essentially recode it into PineScript format. So or bridge it, depending on how that goes. And then we would get it into TradingView or bridge it into TradingView and just get the alerts. So it's all about a webhook connection. So, and APIs that talks to each other. So as per my understanding, we're able to bring any strategy from MT4, MT5 back into TradingView and make it tradable in futures.
That is wonderful, because a lot of traders are now left with MT4 coding and nowhere to go, because we're not allowed to trade most of the time. US citizens are not allowed to trade all of that stuff that's abroad, and that's based on MT4 and MT5. So now we have all of these codes and bots that are great and execution based and everything, and nowhere to take it because I don't reside, let's say, in another country. So that would be really helpful for all the traders that spent a lot of time and money coding this stuff and now are left with product like me on my laptop. So that is wonderful. Congratulations. It sounds like you're trying to really revolutionize the whole trading world. And I love to see another woman in power. So congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, I just became a part of it, if you will, because then again, I want to say everything was done by my developer, so I give credit where credit's due. I just happened to think we both of us thought it would make more sense that, I paid him to create my strategy and he was going to come with a terminal which turned out nowadays to be Sigma View. So instead of I having my own website with my branding, now I'm just a part of his ecosystem and I'm trying to take more of like a role in the company and help out however I can. But
Mhm.
but yeah, I love the portion that like, we are making it available to the public and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. We're very upfront about our pricing. We don't do discounts or nothing because I think it's a fair amount. But just so you have an idea, how much EAs usually cost.
Mhm.
And we are subscription based that if you want to use any of our systems, not just one, all of them, it's $300 a month.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm, fantastic.
Yeah, because it cost me close to 10K to code this.
Yep.
So I now have a product that costs 10K to code and sitting on my laptop. So maybe after we'll have a meeting about what to do next.
Absolutely.
And I can imagine, Isabella, as well, this is going to help traders like with their psychology as well, because there's less decisions, less stress, less platforms. It's more simplified, isn't it? And it's kind of like it sounds like it's very robust. It's very kind of like streamlined and
Yeah.
easy and user friendly as well.
And Faina can relate to this, but for instance, when I used to have an MT4 EA, I used to use my EAs to pass challenges for me, and then I would manage it, manually because whenever you get to the live stage, you don't have to be as aggressive. And it's really hard for you to distinct the challenge phase to the live account phase. That sometimes you end up like trying to be so aggressive in the challenge to pass that once you get to the live portion, you still have that same mentality. And even something as simple as like let the algo trade for me over here and let me focus on my actual style of trading. I
Mhm.
think that is very important because that was one of the main reasons why I personally switched back, actually this year we talked about it, to my live funds because I didn't like the trader that I was being essentially forced to be when I'm trading prop firms.
Mhm.
There were so many little rules and things that I had to pay attention to, and especially if you're trading different prop firms with different rules, then,
Mhm.
for instance, let's just say prop firms don't allow you to trade news. But, as an experienced trader, you like to trade news. What do? Like you can't trade news, so you just stop doing because you can't do it on the prop firm.
Hold anything overnight. So if you're in a position that you see going somewhere, you have to cut profits potentially because you have to get out of the trade. And the whole reason that I even coded my yeah is because I wanted it to, it's based on most successful time of it is London hours. So I wanted something to make me money where I slept, right? Because it uses like the opening range and all that, whatever that is. But so my whole idea was, oh, great. Like I get to sleep, I get to wake up and execute it at a certain time because I set my parameters. You already wake up sort of with some money in your pocket. Not always, but for the most part. So that was the idea. And so it was very disheartening where, now it doesn't have a home and rules change all the time and people every time there's like a new regulation we can't do this and it's becoming really really difficult and prop firms in general are made for you to fail. I mean they're
Exactly.
created so that you fail.
And I think the name of the game, that's what I always tell people, is like use the prop firm to fund your account.
Yeah.
Because the way that you trade your prop firm is not going to be the same way that you trade your personal account. It's just not. Like you're saying, you
Yeah.
can't hold trades overnight. You can't trade news. You can't, switch your position sizing drastically.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
personally sometimes like to do if I'm confident in a trade and I want to risk more, then on my personal, I will risk more. If I don't want to, that day you're feeling, I don't know, I just want to put a trade just to see where it goes and it's smaller, you can do it. It's like sometimes it's more about the practice of trading than it is about the profits.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like it sounds like this potentially solves a lot of going onto it, like it solves a lot of problems. Like Faina's mentioned as well, you've mentioned a lot of problems will be solved with this platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think it's just like a lot to consider when you're trading. There's so much to consider. If you can streamline, because at one point I had like Funhouse, I had all of these domes open and I had one prop firm on one on the other. It was literally Funhouse in here. And your mind, it felt like I was running a marathon. And then one mistake, like recently, Replicanto and Rhythmic had an issue and everything went down all at the same time. So I was literally stuck in a trade that was going against me, and there's nothing I could do. I couldn't flatten it. I couldn't do anything at all. It was maybe a week ago, and the Rhythmic constantly has problems because it's overloaded. And so I was stuck in a trade, and nothing I did helped. So literally, it just ran its course, however long it took. So some of that stuff could be really, because it weighs on your emotional well-being, because then you're really upset about it, and it kind of takes days to shake it off, because this wasn't like your problem.
Mm.
exactly, because you once you don't feel like you have control over something, it really weighs you on you. And even with Trade right now, like I do appreciate that they do have some automatic features, which is the daily drawdown, weekly drawdown, or take max profit. And I always leave mine on in case of an emergency, like you mentioned, because I felt like I've dealt with that on MT4 though before.
Hmm. Hmm.
Have some crazy news, especially with war going on, that market just moves so crazy, and with slippage that it with especially with oil, because I know you trade oil, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, S&P as well. Even and when I was writing to people, everyone was sending me someplace else. So that's another thing you're eliminating. Where I was writing to Ninja Trading, and it told me no, it's a Rhythmic. I wrote to Rhythmic, they said no, it's Apex. I wrote to Apex, Apex. Literally they sent me in circles for a week. Imagine being a trader, and our tool has to, like, our platform is our tool, and your main tool to execute trade is not working. Then what do you do? And for a week, I couldn't get anyone's response. So the fact that you guys are marrying it all and making it a streamlined process, it's gonna really help a lot of people not lose their minds, because I didn't know what to do. You feel so helpless. You just sit there and people just, one email a day sends you someplace else. So I'm really excited to see the what you've built, and I think you're doing something, helping a lot of people take some
Absolutely.
of that stress off their shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not actively trading anymore, as you know, but I'm kind of I want to jump on board. I'm like, it sounds really exciting, and I think like Faina said as well, it can be really stressful. Trading is stressful anyway, and with that on top of it, with the kind of uncertainty of that as well, it's a lot of pressure on traders' backs, isn't it? So I think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes in the trading space.
Yeah, we are too. We are not just looking to have a monopoly on it. We actually want to be more not just known for our automation, but invite other people that do have automations, like Faina, for instance, to come on board and to create their own little hub. And if Faina, for instance, wants to make it available to other people, she can, but it's her code and she is the one who would make the decision, right? Within our platform. So like we're giving you your own hub to make the decision with. Just like when I actually got him to code my strategy. You know, it's not ready yet, but probably by the time that this releases is going to be. And then I get to decide, hey, I will allow 50 people to copy trade from me, for my algo, and then there is an upcharge for that. But it's as long as you pay, then again, like through Sigma View, whatever they are charging for the trades, um, you get to run your own business inside of our terminal, so there are a lot of different options that you can still have your own business inside of us, just like TradingView, like a lot of people have paid indicators. That's the perfect example, right? And but TradingView is the hub, and that's essentially what we're trying to do. We are the hub, but people can come and bring in their strategies and have their own thing going on. And I actually had my first prop firm challenge account done with them. I actually am about to request my payout today.
Oh,
And knock on wood, I want to say, but it hasn't lost, like, it lost trades, but it didn't lose a single day so far, you know?
oh,
And
wow.
it paid between anywhere between like $200 to $500. And then again, there was some intervention on the fact that I'm like, if I'm okay with my profits for the day, I'll just turn it off, you know?
Hmm.
Um, so so far I was like, you know what? It made $200. It made 250. I'm happy with it. Turn it off, you know? Um, so I was able to pass my challenge within I want to say 1 week actually, and get to the payout. It was a 50K. So it made $4,000 of profit in 2 weeks.
That's amazing. Congratulations. That is great. That is great.
Yes.
And it takes out some of the, emotional guessing that we do because algos don't have emotions. And so as long as your strategy works, it executes and you can it doesn't have a tilt. You can
Right.
it does not have a tilt. It doesn't have emotions. So that is wonderful. I think the future for your company is really bright because I don't know anyone who's doing all of these things together like that. And so this is very interesting. And I know you were excited before about having you come back and having, anytime you start something new, you have to clear the vision a little bit. And so you got clear on what it is that you wanted to do. Because in the beginning, we all want to do everything, and then you realize, let me have like a specialty so that I don't have to. It can narrow kind of like the people who are interested, but those who are interested will be very, very interested in what you have to offer.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
but how are you doing otherwise? Are you doing with your, health? How are you doing with your emotional? Are you able to still stick with your rules and your discipline? How's that going?
It's actually going fairly well. I want to say especially after you take a break. So usually around December, I try to take a break, anywhere between 2 weeks to a month. And I took about a month this time, especially because the markets weren't that great anyway. So got back into the market in January. I started having a great month. I want to say that I had 2 rough weeks. And, it's one of those things that are like, is it me or is it the market? I
Yeah,
think it was a little bit of both. It was the market doing its thing because it was still January. And
yeah.
then that just puts you in a bad headspace and you're like, hold on. But
Mhm.
I'm very proud of myself that I didn't go on tilt, even though I had 2 bad weeks that I was like, okay, this is the name of the game. What, like, the markets might just be bad. Like, let me take a look,
Mhm.
let me go back to my trades. And that's where journaling is so important. And for you to like see, hey, was it my entries? Was it me or was it the market? Especially when you have a couple of losing weeks, you really try to like, okay, what is going on here? And I want to say that at least 60% of the time it was the market. I was like, okay, my entries were good. My entry criteria were there. So I'm not going crazy,
Yeah.
And on the other set of time, I was probably trying to overcompensate for the losses. So I ended up holding the position longer than I should have. But I feel like it's always that learning experience that you just go through
Mhm.
emotional cycles. And then I was like, okay, now that I see what's going actually clear what's going on. And then as soon as Trump got into office, it's been like I feel like market has been great ever since that day.
Yeah, today has been a bit crazy, but overall, I also find that it's been a little bit erratic, and I've also felt like, was it me? But no, it also was like technology, but probably a little bit me as well. So I totally understand what you're saying. Sometimes you're like 2 weeks in, and I'm sure Louise, you hear that from people. 2 weeks is really hard to withstand in what we do. It really wears down on your psyche because you have to get up and be positive the next day, but then you already in the state and you don't get to shake it off because and then the next day and the next day and the next day. So I see um how difficult it must be for all of us. I'm sad that this happened to you, but I'm also partly glad that I'm not the only one. So for our listeners, it happens to everyone, even the experienced people. Louis, you hear about that all the time, right?
I do, yeah. I mean, even 2 days, I was sitting there going 2 weeks, but even 2 days for a trader, I mean, they come out of it like this whirlwind of like emotions and stress, the adrenaline. And yes, so I do hear it a lot. I do hear it a lot. And it's, it can be very stressful on the body as well as the mind, as we know. And that's why it's important for every trader to have kind of an outlet where they can reset, relax, rebalance, and so forth. And, I think what Isabella does is, one of the things she does is fantastic, is the journaling, because that really helped you, didn't it, Isabella, to realize, well, actually, it wasn't down to me. It
Yeah,
was,
being able to actually see like, okay, no, this was my entry. I had a perfect entry with a perfect stop loss like I normally would, held too long, you know. Instead of a 2 RR, I was like going for a 4 RR. And sometimes we got to go back to the basics. Like just because most of my trades do go a 4 or 5 doesn't mean that I should not take the 2, you know.
Mhm.
Sometimes just you've seen so much, you've experienced so much that even the positives can become negative because now you're not happy with a 2R.
Mhm.
mm,
Mhm. Yeah, I did that yesterday. It was perfectly fine, and then I thought, no, 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 let me stretch it a little, you know. And it doesn't always work. But I also think we have to remember we don't need the whole move. And if you consistently are making a certain amount of money, then take that. Take the base hit because those add up. Because not everything is a home run, and I think people are really looking for that home run. And in the process, they're missing a lot of base hits, and they're letting trades turn around, and from profit into not just break evens but into a loss just because of greed. So I think it's discipline overall. It has to be part of our discipline. Whatever our system is, we have to let that system work, because if we continuously fiddle with something, we don't know if our system is working or not, because you'll never find out if you continuously fiddle with it. And so those are some of the reminders that I have for myself, that I devised it based on back testing, and this is what I came up with based on the data I have. Everything else are feelings, and feelings are not strategies. And so, you know, I look forward to an algo just doing its thing for me, so that I can just free myself for a little bit from decision making.
Yeah, and I feel like it does turn trading a little bit more fun because you're not so caught up on the money aspect. And I was even telling Luis that I was like, I think I've been so focused on money lately that I'm not being able to trade how I want to trade. You know,
Mm,
if I want to hold a trade, like you're saying, like overnight, if I see a target and it can go there, maybe the next day I wake up and I'm like, I'll change my mind because I'm already not holding the position, that if I did hold the position the day before, then the next day you can just add to it. But then the next day, sometimes you wake up and you second guess yourself, you go against your position from the day
mm,
before, and then you're
mm.
like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
so there are all strategies that I definitely, you know, I've done in the past that I want to continue to do and to free up my mind to do so. Like scalping is great, but I used to be more of an intraday trader. But with all this trailing drawdown and having to meet some prop firm criteria, it forces me to be a
Yeah.
scalper.
yeah.
Hmm.
What do you think? I mean, we know there are many challenges for traders. There's many fine lines, there's many challenges. What do you think the biggest challenge is for traders?
Um, I think that depends on the person.
Mm,
Like, I really do think it depends. I think, like you were speaking before, the main difference usually between men and women is that men tend to go too aggressive because they want to just pass it in the least amount of times, usually, right? That's more of a masculine energy, like which I do personally have when I'm trading. I just want to get it done with, so it puts that pressure on you of like, even if there's not a pressure of time, but a pressure of like, this is a goal and you want to get to your goal as fast as you can. And as you may know, everybody knows in trading that, going too fast is not your friend. you have to have patience, right? Patience is a friend. Um, and usually for women, or like I said, more of a feminine energy, is that they get too caught up on having to make that amount that they psych themselves, or I guess I want to say on the losses. They psych themselves with the losses, like I can't lose more than 5% so much that they put their stops to break even and don't let the trade play out. Or get out before stop loss. Oh, it's just gonna hit stop loss anyway. That's not how you should trade. You put a stop for a reason, and if it doesn't reach your stop, it's because your trade is not invalidated. How many times it goes a few ticks away from it and goes your way, you know? And a lot of people either get out of break even or don't let their trades run, see it a little bit in profit and exit out, doesn't let the ratio to reward play out. So I think it messes with your psychological on those aspects, that even though, like, for instance, like Faina and I were talking about, okay, the trade played out perfectly. It was a 2R, but sometimes you're like, well, if I held it for a 4, I would pass this challenge. So let me just let it push the boundary a little bit more. Or if I held it for a 3R, I'll get my payout tomorrow. So those, I think that's what really messes with people.
You're right, because the system is there for a reason, and once you start, and it's also people who do that kind of stuff, they don't realize that mathematically you would have to be right more times. If you are cutting your trades short, then when you're right, you're supposed to be really right. And if you keep taking profits early, that means that you have to be right more times. And so I just mathematically, I don't think people think of it of probabilities rather than like emotions. And because it's fear either way, whether you're cutting profits or moving a stop, it's all fear. Because and it's funny how you can talk yourself into it, and I can give you 25 reasons for why I should take that profit right now, right? Like I gave myself 25 reasons for why it's going to go far and beyond, and the outer and into the outer space, and it definitely didn't. It was based on nothing but my emotions, and so those are the things that I think a trader never stops growing. Also, because the market is like a living organism, it changes constantly. It makes us reevaluate what it is that we're looking at. It's never the same. What do you think about that?
Um, well, we all know the market goes through cycles.
Yeah.
You are an ICT trader, so more than anything, you
Mhm.
do believe as well that there is an algorithm running it, right? So, and regardless of what you believe, you have a period of consolidation, of reversals, and of continuations. So, on the grand scheme of things, especially with price being fractal, the lower time frame is going to reflect with the higher time frame is doing. So you got to recognize what the higher time frame, even the monthly or yearly are doing, so you can start framing on the smaller time frames too. Because I remember there were years back, I think was when Trump was president last time, the market was going straight up. It had no retracements for weeks or almost months. I was like, where do you get in? And the answer was, you get in on the very first 5, 10 tick down move, and then it goes up. That was it. There was no real like 40%, 70% retracement like it usually does. But we were in that type of environment that it was I believe a distribution. We were taking all-time highs non-stop. We didn't know when it was gonna stop either. And honestly, trading all-time highs to me is the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult because it's really hard to buy at the high. Every day is a new high, and you're like, it has to turn around, but it's sometimes it doesn't for weeks or months. And that's what I mean. Like the market is kind of, you have to be aware, and sometimes we're coming with a bias, and we have to be able to switch our bias or to actually rationally understand what we're looking at, as opposed to what I came in hoping that would do, and then hammer that in until there's nothing left to hammer in. And so I think I hear a lot of people, like today, I saw a lot of people having a really difficult day because they had a bias and it just did not work out. And I saw a whole bunch of people blowing up multiple accounts. So sometimes market gives what it gives.
Yeah, and I do think people also need to understand about the cycles with the news. It's not necessarily that like you should or should not trade news per se, is that it, like for instance today, right? The news is at 2 p.m. More than likely, the move that you're waiting for it to happen is not going to happen until then. Like you can have, it's going to go the opposite way. So like the market shifts because instead of 9:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time being the catalyst, it's going to be the news at 2 p.m. That is going to be the catalyst. So you're going to have the move that you expect much later in the day. And, you know, probably right now at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., you're going to have the very last move, you know, or we're going to switch directions. Like with the algorithm, you already know the timing and the time of days that certain things are going to happen. So, you know, I know that you trade the macros, like, so maybe the morning macros are not going to give you what you're looking for this morning because of, you know, but it doesn't mean that the other macros, the afternoon ones, you know, are not going to work. Those are probably going to be the ones that are actually going to be in effect on that specific day. So I think that people also oversee, you know, the market cycles within the day. Just because most of the time it happens at this time every day, it doesn't mean that every day is going to be this exact same.
Yeah, I'm finding that the afternoon macros are doing really much better, much easier, much more like trendy and less whippy. And so I've been really focusing on that 150 because to me it is a calmer environment where like all the craziness of the morning has subsided and you can catch a pretty good move without like jumping out of your seat. Because sometimes, you know, I see those moves and it literally makes me jump on my chair. You know, if you look on 1 minute and you look over and you literally like, I jump, you go because it's just so quick. So I sometimes like I'm reframing, but just because something was working before, people have to be nimble, right? And if it's not working for you in the morning, because a 950 was not working for me, and I was trying, and I'm like, why am I so committed to this if it's not working? You have to like look at yourself and do some analysis and say, listen, it's no longer working. Just it used to work, it just doesn't anymore. No matter what I do, no matter how much I push, it's just not working. So what can I do? What can I do? You have to constantly be nimble and reframe things. So I said, okay, 150 seems to be more calm and maybe it's not going to be a huge move, but it's going to give me that base hit without me jumping out of my chair. Is it worth my emotional bank? Probably. Let's try that. You know, you have to just doing the same thing because people are so committed. It's just because something worked before. There's no, like you were saying, there's no guarantee that it's going to give every single time. There's no such thing. It's not magic. So I totally agree with you. I think we need to be more nimble and more aware of like the environment.
Right. Um, as like actually a lot of people think I'm absolutely insane. But you know, due to ICT, I do trade the 15 seconds and the 30 seconds still during the open. And for some reason, I actually feel a lot more comfortable with it because you can see the swing points, right? And then it kind of switches because when I trade the afternoon, I notice that like I don't feel like I need to be in control and sing every second. That I actually, when I trade the afternoon, is because I know there is a higher time frame PD array and that, you know, I'm comfortable getting in on the 15 minutes, 5 minutes. Like I don't find myself going into the 15 seconds to find my move because it is such a calmer, you know, experience. A 15-minute fair value gap is probably going to hold. You don't need to get down to the minutes.
Exactly.
Sure.
This is what I'm doing. It gives me like a moment to breathe and you just have to tailor your experience based on what you're looking at and let go of what it was. And maybe I'll go back to the earlier if things change, but you always have to. It's not the market, it's your approach to it. You know, and if we're coming here thinking that the market it has to pay, it does not. It does not have to do anything at all. So it's our job to be reasonable and rational and clear-minded and have some sort of introspection and personal responsibility, right? You have to be responsible for your own crap. Like you did that. So
Yeah.
I think it's got to match. Sorry, Isabella. I think it's got to suit your personality. You know, like it's got to try and make it work for you as best as possible. Like the the markets you trade, the times, the time frame and things like that. And the strategy that you use as well to make it feel so it feels more right for you, more comfortable. I think that's important, isn't it?
Yeah, you can teach people the same strategy, and I guarantee you, all five people will do something different because we all like even with we trade the same kind of idea, but I bet you that Isabella and I are doing we're thinking that we're doing the same thing, but we're doing a million things differently. And so that's just like you have to personalize everything because you need to understand why you're doing what you're doing because someone else is doing something else and you don't get it and you just blindly follow them. You're gonna eventually pay for that because you need to understand why that person does what they do, right? Because maybe I'm looking at something and, let's say I'm looking at pivot points. A lot of people do not. I do. Floor pivot points to me are turning points or a support or it's going to be resistance. For me, I'm looking at something and I'm making a call based on my study. So I think it's important for people to find their own style and not just blindly follow anyone. Or even with the algos that you're going to be creating, understand why it's doing what it's doing. At least have some sort of understanding why it is so and you have to believe in that a little bit.
Yeah, you have to believe it at least a little bit. And honestly, I don't even like to look at it with like when I'm taking a trade the same time that it's taking a trade because I was like, it's two completely different strategies. You know, I don't trade breakouts. I mainly trade reversals. I'm a reversal trader. That's my specialty, liquidity runs, and that's it. I trade one style only. So if I look at anybody else's like trading, we're most likely going to trade differently, like especially breakout EAs or traders. Like it's not me. I don't trade breakouts, right? That's going to go far ahead. I rather wait for the reversal than to get into a breakout. It's just how I am. So I don't even try. I tried before. I can't mix both, right? And a lot of people, come up to me whenever they see me trading and they're like, how do you know is that fair value gap? Or like, how do you know that's the liquidity grab? And I want to say that is because you're so comfortable and within your strategy, you've seen this so many times and you actually believe in a strategy that you start to get confident on it. I do feel that people that do not have confidence is because they don't trust their strategy or they don't understand what they're doing. Because I remember when I used to be insecure, I was like, is it a buy or a sell? I remember asking myself that. I was like, I'm gonna just flip a coin because I don't know if it's a buy or a sell. I'm just gonna make a decision. And I think that's where a lot of people think, oh, it's just gambling because it can be that if you're guessing, right? But if you believe in your system, then it's a system. It's not anymore just guessing, right? You have a system in place and you back test it and you believe in it. And now you have confidence on executing it, even if you don't think it's going to happen sometimes. And it does. And sometimes you don't take the trade, you're like, huh, yeah, my system was right. And that's how you build confidence. It's just like a trial and error, like an everyday thing.
Yeah, I think a trader's got to have confidence in their strategy and themselves to perform at the best. But we're coming to the end of the show, Isabella, and it's been an absolute pleasure. But share with us the top 3 books that you've read in your trading career that have really helped you, like whether it's like a psychology book or any book to do with trading. So the top 3 books.
I don't know if I have a top 3. I do have a top 1 with is Trading the Zone for sure. I think everybody should read it. A lot of people say that, oh, I don't read trading books, and it's a psychology book. I hate when they say it's a trading book. It's not going to interfere with your strategy. Believe me, just do it, right? Fairly recent, I've been reading You Are the Mountain, essentially talking about all the blocks and how you essentially you're the mountain on your own way. Like you're putting your beliefs and blocking yourself from being better than you currently are because you don't believe in yourself. And I know that with a lot of hypnotherapy and meditation, that's the type of stuff that actually helps you take those blocks away, so that is a great book too. And the third book, it's more of a personal one, and it's called This Is Me Letting You Go, I believe. And it talks about, that is more of a personal, and I think that's how I personally grew, like self-development wise. It talks about everything that you've been through life and how to let go. It talks you through letting go of,
And what is it called? This Is Me Letting You Go?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Wonderful.
think that is great for anybody that is like literally just, you had a trauma in the past that can interfere with your trading. And I think that was one of the main books that was like, I was able to let go of my personal traumas to make myself available in order to, achieve greater things in life.
Thank you
That's
for sharing.
wonderful. And also, can you please tell our listeners and viewers where do they find your new venture?
Oh,
Where do they
so
go?
sigmaview.io. So it's SIGMAVUE.io.
Perfect.
Okay, we're going to include it in the description so our listeners can click and go check out the website and learn everything about all the wonderful things that you are doing. And I will be speaking to you later about all of my stuff, but it's been such a pleasure seeing you again, and best of luck on everything. And we hope to, in a year, get you back here and you can tell us what's it like to be a millionaire.
Multi-millionaire.
Multimillionaire.
Oh, it
Thank
was-
you everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Isabella. See you next time, listeners. See you
Bye.
next time.